Last week, the city of Maricopa came together for the largest community cleanup campaign in the city's history. Individuals from all walks of life rallied and walked throughout their community, picking up litter in a vow to keep Maricopa beautiful. We received dozens of emails from groups showcasing their efforts to keep Maricopa beautiful by collecting multiple bags of litter during the 2-hour-only event. To learn more about the next community cleanup event, please visit keepmaricopabeautiful.com.
Good morning, City of Maricopa. We are standing on the north side of town on State Route 347, which is the main entrance into the City of Maricopa. Over the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth with residential and commercial. As growth continues, it gives us the opportunity to do additional projects, one of which is a landscaping project down the 347. It'll go from Honeycutt Road to the north entries of town. This includes trees, landscaping, rock boulders, some metal art deco. There will be some lighted metal structures all the way down the median. When you pull into the north side of town, we're going to have an impressive monument right in the middle of the road that represents the city of Maricopa, which has been well needed for many years. This project has been years, maybe even decades in the making, with city council and citizens' requests and responses to increase the beautification of coming into town. We'd like to thank each one of you for the time, effort, energy, and the patience of getting this done. We look forward to having this project completed by the end of the year.
Hi, good morning. This is Mayor Christian Price and Councilman Rich Vitiello. We are here at the grand opening of the new community center, which hosts a wing for the veterans and also a wing for the seniors, so a senior center, as well as a middle area that is a community center where all types of different things can be hosted, or either of those organizations can overflow into it. This is a very exciting day as the seniors have waited long and hard for a dedicated location where they could come and socialize and play cards and do things and have a location that was truly theirs. And so it's a very special day for them and for the veterans and really for the entire city of Maricopa.
I just also want to thank the past and present councils, city managers, everybody, mayors. I don't want to leave anybody out, council members, but without all that prior, today wouldn't have happened. And as I said earlier, without our veterans, we wouldn't be here today. And again, God bless you and thank you for getting us to where we are and living in this greatest country in the world.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, Luis Vila, Communications Coordinator for the City of Maricopa. I'm reporting right inside the brand new Sprouts grocery store with the Senior Project Superintendent, Mike Kelly from AR Mays, who's been working on developing and constructing this very grocery store coming to our community in the very near future. Hi Mike, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the construction process and how everything's gone thus far?
It's actually been a real pleasure to work with the City of Maricopa. From the front office to the building inspectors, fire marshal, fire inspectors, it's gone really smoothly. So here in Maricopa, you guys have done a great job and it's been a great project so far.
And I know some people may be worried that the shelves are empty right now. So when can we expect the actual groceries and everything to be delivered?
The next big step for us here inside the store is going to be to start stocking dry goods. So things are going to start happening real quick.
Okay. Final question. Everyone's really want to know, when is Sprouts going to be open?
Well, I hope you're here the 25th so that you can get your tuna salad.
I will definitely be here, and I hope to see all of you here. For all the latest developments and great things happening with the City of Maricopa, please check out what'snewmaricopa.com. Last week, the city of Maricopa came together for the largest community cleanup campaign in the city's history. Individuals from all walks of life rallied and walked throughout their community, picking up litter in a vow to keep Maricopa beautiful. We received dozens of emails from groups showcasing their efforts to keep Maricopa beautiful by collecting multiple bags of litter during the 2-hour only event. To learn more about the next community cleanup event, please visit keepmaricopabeautiful.com.
Good morning, City of Maricopa. We are standing on the north side of town on State Route 347, which is the main entrance into the City of Maricopa. Over the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth with residential and commercial. As growth continues, it gives us the opportunity to do additional projects, one of which is a landscaping project down the 347. It'll go from Honeycutt Road to the north entries of town. This includes trees, landscaping, rock boulders, some metal art deco. There'll be some lighted metal structures all the way down the median. When you pull into the north side of town, we're going to have an impressive monument right in the middle of the road that represents the city of Maricopa, which has been well needed for many years. This project has been years, maybe even decades in the making, with city council and citizens' requests and responses to increase the beautification of coming into town. We'd like to thank each one of you for the time, effort, energy, and the patience of getting this done. We look forward to having this project completed by the end of the year.
Go ahead.
Just let us all deal with what we need to and deal with our neighbors. And just depend upon you for guidance. We ask this.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner LaFall?
Here.
Commissioner Yocum?
Here.
Vice Chair Sharp? Chair Huggins?
Here.
Commissioner Irving?
Here.
Commissioner Frank?
Here.
Commissioner Robertson?
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. All righty. Next item on the agenda, call to the public. This is a general call to public. If you have anything that you would like to speak about that's not on the agenda for tonight, please go ahead and approach the podium. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Approval of previous minutes.
Move approval as submitted.
I'll second.
All righty, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right. 5.1, GPA 21-032, public hearing, major general plan amendment case, GPA 21-03, Santa Cruz Ranch. A request by iPlan Consulting on behalf of W Holdings to amend the general plan future land use map of approximately 995 plus or minus acres from undesignated land use to master plan community, MPC, generally located on the northeast corner of North Anderson Road and West Miller Road within the unincorporated areas of Pinal County. Discussion and action.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, before we open up the item for public hearing, a quick presentation by staff and the applicant as well. As mentioned, it's a request to amend the general plan land use by designating approximately 995 acres from undesignated land use to master plan community, generally located northeast corner of Anderson Road and Miller Road within the unincorporated area of Pinal County. This request does constitute as a major general plan amendment, as any request over 40 acres from undesignated land use to master plan community is considered a major general plan amendment. As last time presented at our September meeting, here is a site information. It's about 995 acres. It has existing zoning of CR3 from the Pinal County, which is approved back in 2005. The general plan of the city is undesignated, and the proposed land use designation with the city of Maricopa is master plan community to generally be conformance with the zoned Pinal County. As it relates to the development process, this project is a step one of generally a 5-step process for zoning and planning entitlement. We're still at a general plan land use designation portion of it as the next steps. Keep in mind this property is not in the city's annex, it's not in the incorporated limits. If and when this property does get annexed into the city, we'll go through that process, rezoning, pre-plat, and final plat, and obviously construction. The site generally located at the northwest corner of Anderson and Miller Road within unincorporated Pinal County. Again, the general plan land use request is to amend the existing general plan from undesignated left picture to master plan community shown on the right. The orange or the burnt orange is designation of master plan community on the left-hand side. A portion of it's already designated that. The remaining portion on the right side of the picture shows the inclusion of the master plan community being consistent with the area around it. The amendment will conform to already entitled zoning for Pinal County that was approved in '05 for a planning development master plan community. As mentioned back at our September meeting, the general plan is an expression of the preferences of residents, property owners, and statement of city policy designed to achieve a citizen's vision. And here's a list of what a general plan is not. It's not to promote special interests. It is not a rigid document, so it is adaptable. It's not a detailed policy. It's not ordinance by code or specific properties or areas. It is not a capital improvement plan, nor is it zoning at this time. And in this case, it's not an act of platting or even approving an annexation. Master plan community is designated for large-scale, 160 acres, master plan developments. A development with a master plan community is a true variety of supported by commercial and employment land uses to meet daily needs of the residents. Developments like this, if and when this becomes within the city, the required off-site infrastructure improvements are necessary to offset the development's impacts, including needed roadways, drainage improvements, and other utilities to serve the area before even going up vertical. On a land use analysis, keeping it consistent with the master plan community with the existing land use of the city, on the west portion honoring the entitled PAD is the most compatible land use for the area, and also to provide further oversight to the city if and when this is annexed into the city. As it relates to the cost burdens to the city as part of their amendment, constitutes the request as a major amendment. Any major improvement such as this does consider this to be a major general plan amendment. The context of the site expansion of infrastructure warrants capital improvements to the area, such as full street improvements of possibly Anderson Road, Miller Road alignment, and other nearby intersection improvements. As part of the next development stage, the rezoning and platting, a final traffic impact analysis, which is reviewed by the city engineering team, is confirmed and shall be conditioned for review and approval before any type of construction is done. As required by the city's zoning code and state statute requirements, all required advertising notices that are included newspaper legal notices, mailing notices, agency notices, signposting, and holding neighborhood meeting were all completed along with the holding of 2 separate planning zoning commission meetings in 2 separate locations within the city, along with tonight's public hearing. Further information can be found in your Exhibit C Citizen Participation Plan report as well. So as it relates to the first public hearing and the responses that we got from the residents at the public hearing, I'm going to go ahead and have the consultant, the applicant, iPlan Consulting, Jason Sanks, kind of come up and speak on the responses to the first review, the first neighborhood meeting concerns and provide responses to those. So with that, Jason.
Thank you, Rudy, and good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. Jason Sanks with iPlan Consulting, 3317 South Higley Road in Gilbert, 85297. Rudy's correct. I'm going to go ahead and navigate through the slides. There were a number of questions. It was a lengthy discussion with the members of the public and with the Commission at the first meeting, which I generally believe is kind of a fact-finding session where we receive a bunch of questions, and then the second meeting offers the opportunity to have succinct responses and gives us time to prepare those. So I'd like to go through those, and as well, if there are any other items that the Commission or the public wants us to speak on, I'd be happy to just address those questions with the best answers I can. So we had our first slide. There were some questions that came up in regards to the auctioneer point noise in operations. I did want to. We had our first slide. You want me to? I can project. Let me see if I can be a little bit louder. All right, great. Can you hear me better? Okay, great. So in regards to the airport noise and operations, the property doesn't currently have what are called navigation easements recorded against it, meaning that it hasn't come to the point that the airport or the city have approached the landowner, of course the property is in unincorporated Pinal County, to record overflight easements, meaning that the property owners that would be perhaps future homeowners or other developers within the project would disclose the airport or its noise. However, In meeting with the developer over the last 4 weeks, we would be happy to disclose in the public report for the property the presence of the airport and its operations, which is pretty customary when you're near an airport. That also leads to the question that some of the neighbors had in regards to the agricultural activity in the area, and would people complain because of livestock or horses or flies or those sorts of things. We would also be happy to disclose in the public report the presence of agricultural operations and activity, so that anybody coming in the future would be made aware of that. Again, that's second point that pops up, is that we will provide notifications of those operations as required or requested. We had a number of questions and concerns related to drainage and floodplain. There was concerns with both the property itself, perhaps flooding in the event of a storm event with the wash nearby and the levee. And then there was also concerns from the neighbors that would this project allow water to drain off of it onto their properties. So I'll go through those answers here. So there's an existing levee, everyone here already knows that, on the western boundary. What happened in 2005 when the project was originally approved and is approved in Pinal County for the development of the subdivisions, the drainage solution that was presented at that time was adjacent to that levee. There would be a below-grade channel that would be built west of the levee. So in case the levee were to fail, the below-grade channel, which is significant, would collect any drainage flows that would come over and channel them away from the development to protect those homes. So flanking the levee along its western boundary would be a below-grade channel to collect that in the event the levee were to fail. Another aspect of development that perhaps not everyone is familiar with is that when a project comes into the city for review, the grading and drainage plan and the associated drainage report for the entire project, known as a master drainage report, is accepted by the city and routed to the city's engineering team for review and compliance with the approved standards. Properties that are developed are not allowed to subsequently dump their storm runoff or any other drainage on adjacent properties. So the whole project would have to be reviewed to ensure that the property wasn't draining or allowing storm flows to leave it and drain onto perhaps the ranchette properties or any other properties that are nearby. They're required to hold their own drainage and store it effectively until it can be drained into the groundwater or released otherwise, but it wouldn't go onto their properties. That's required. This is the exhibit that I wanted to kind of show. You can see the channel proposed section in the bottom left-hand corner that basically just shows how something might be constructed. But if you see the blue note that I added, that below-grade drainage channel would flank the levee, and that's how we would prevent stormwater flows from the wash from flooding the homes within the development. That certainly wouldn't be allowed by FEMA. What happens with this project being in the floodplain itself is that we would have to go through a map amendment process with FEMA. So they would have to review all of our plans. They would have to see what our drainage solution is, accept that, and then the property would be removed from the floodplain through what's called a clomer. So that would occur prior to any development on the property. And the benefit of a clomer to not just this property is that for I believe most of the residents that are here that are concerned live in the subdivision or the ranchettes that are nearby to the south and the west. It would also help to prevent any storm flows from the channel if it were to break. That drainage channel would help to keep those storm flows away from their subdivision. Big question was water resources and how would this project perhaps have a negative impact on the area, particularly in regards to the wells that many of the residents have, if not all of them. There was concerns about groundwater use and area well depletion. We spoke about Global Water providing water and wastewater services to the project. So that is still the solution for both those utility provisions to the project. Global Water gets its water resources across its utility area, not just from the area from which it's serving. So Global Water would pull water resources wherever it has its wells. Those water resources are pooled together through treatment facilities and then distributed across its network. All of the water for this project wouldn't necessarily or even be pulled from the localized area from which it's being used, but rather be shared across Global's network. Currently, the agricultural production on the property is receiving cap water, or in time would be pumping groundwater from well or future wells. As a reminder to those that are here that may or may not know, 70% of the water that's used in Arizona, our groundwater, is used for agricultural purposes. On an acre-to-acre basis, when we talk about foot acres of water, I know it seems counterintuitive, but actually agricultural production uses 4 to 5 times as much water as an acre of residential development does. It simply uses a lot of water, and that's how we grow our crops. As the crops on this property would eventually go somewhere else, to farms elsewhere, the homes here would actually use less water than the current agricultural operations on the site. Further, the water for those homes would come from global water rather than from groundwater or cap water that's at the site. Again, as a reminder, global water's resource distribution comes from a larger area. It's not known that there'd actually be a discernible impact on the immediate area water table, as it's pulled from a much larger area than just this site. We did touch on wastewater. I wanted to kind of bring this up to the commission and to the residents here. We didn't really go into detail at the first meeting. On the approved plats and civil plans and all that stuff that's at Pinal County that's on the books, we are proposing a wastewater treatment facility as part of this project, which would bring sewer services to this part of Maricopa. It's anticipated that we would reserve and construct the facility, which is intended to primarily serve the residents, the future residents of the project, but it would also provide an opportunity, if other area property owners or homeowners were interested, by bringing sewer services much closer to their homes. Now, at this time, everyone's pretty much on septic, but in the future, if those needs were to change, the sewer or this wastewater treatment facility would be much closer in the event that lines would be extended in the major roadways for them to tap into. And that generally does happen over time. Lastly, treated water from the wastewater treatment facility is often used to recharge the groundwater. So at the discretion of ADWR and Global Water, it's likely that the wastewater that's treated here would be available to actually replenish groundwater, therefore putting water back in the ground. And I'm not speculating that for sure they'll do that. I'm just telling you that's generally how it's handled. Again, I wouldn't make that decision, nor would I plan, or the developer, but ADWR and Global Water. Big issue that came up was roadway improvements and traffic. There was concerns related to traffic in the neighborhood and the adjacent roadways, and how are all these people going to get in and out of here. Most of the residents that spoke that I had a chance to meet, and I believe most of them live in the neighborhood that's the Ranchette properties that are to the south and west. You probably already know this, but most of the people would be traveling primarily to the north and to the east to get to the various highways that access the city of Maricopa, the city of Casa Grande, and Metro Phoenix. So fortunately, based on the geography, most traffic trips would be heading north, and when they come south, they would get to the development and not pass through the adjacent existing residences. The developer is required to build all of the streets in the development, to build all of their half-streets as noted in the staff presentation earlier, adjacent to the project. Further, there have been area regional studies, such as the Pinal County East-West Corridor study, that shows significant improvements proposed at Farrell and Val Vista at the Maricopa-Casa Grande Highway to accommodate this growth. So there have been long-range plans in existence for over 10 years now to accommodate this growth when it arrives. I have an exhibit here that kind of shows these are plans directly out of the, these are exhibits directly out of that transportation plan that show how Farrell and Val Vista roadways would be improved and what those interchanges would look like. And that would be to reduce traffic congestion at those intersections. We brought up native species protection, and there was concerns related to the relocation of burrowing owls or other native wildlife. For everyone here that may not be familiar with it, all owls are protected by Arizona state law, and it's basically through the mandate of federal law under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. So we would have to, one, prepare an environmental study that shows that they indeed exist, which we know that they do. And then once they've been identified, they would need a plan of relocation. So what happens before any construction would occur, all of the relocation of the native species would have to be conducted. We wouldn't be disrupting their habitat while they're there. The native inventory and resource study would be submitted to the city and applicable agencies for review and acceptance and approval prior to any relocation occurring. Once they've been approved, a biologist or biologist team would have to come on site to carefully take the owls and take them to a holding facility where they can transition for at least 60 days. Otherwise, they would naturally want to migrate back to where they came from. But after about 60 days, they're ready to go to their new home, in which case they would be safely relocated to a new home. Again, no new construction can simply occur before that is done. It's required by both state and federal law. Buffering existing land uses. I ultimately believe that the biggest concern here is, the larger acre properties, the 3.3 acre ranchette properties are concerned about all of these houses and smaller lot properties coming online and in near proximity to them. We talked about this in some detail last time, and we're talking about this big project called Santa Cruz Ranch Master Plan Community. Half of that community, the half that's already adjacent to the folks here tonight, is already designated as master plan community in your general plan. It is the obvious and most distinct designation for large master plan communities, and that's why it exists. It has guidelines to help staff, the city, and the residents understand the zoning process and the platting process that would occur after a general plan amendment such as this. That's nearly 900 acres of property that's already designated master plan community. However, this project is almost twice that size and is already approved in Pinal County. I spoke at length with W Holdings, the developer, and they believe that the city of Maricopa is the best jurisdiction in which to develop. They don't believe Casa Grande is the right way to go because half of that property would be coming from Casa Grande's planning area and come into Maricopa, so it could be designed and built in one jurisdiction and not in two. The developer also doesn't believe that just staying in Pinal County and building with their existing zoning rights makes the most sense. We're within the city of Maricopa's planning area, and we should come into the city of Maricopa first through this general plan amendment, second through an annexation, and lastly through the zoning and the platting process where you get into the details and we roll up our sleeves about how everything is specifically designed. Again, you're seeing images of maps on the screen that just have very large areas of property with one color on them, and that's really the question that's on the agenda tonight is master plan community the right designation for 900 acres of property that's already zoned for a master plan community in Pinal County? It's not, do we want to zone it tonight? It's not, do we want to annex it tonight? It's really, do we think that master plan community is the most logical and prudent land use designation for this property, considering its context in the middle of a bunch of master plan community? Now, while the ranchettes, really is a lovely neighborhood, it has large acre properties, it's definitely a rural lifestyle. It's actually also designated master plan community. It just so happens to have 3.3 acre lots. And it's a great neighborhood. But I just wanted everyone to know that when you look at it from a map perspective, and you're debating what makes sense from a land use perspective, master plan community fits the bill for large projects. So in relationship to buffering their larger lots, in the subsequent zoning cases that would come, once the property is even annexed, it's not even annexed yet. Buffering and transition land uses and those sorts of things would be looked at closely. In fact, for everyone that's here, should this be successful at the general plan amendment stage, the annexation and then the zoning case, everybody in this room would be renoticed again with notices of a rezoning case, in which case they'd also receive more details about the proposal. Everybody here would have citizen input and speak to the commission, speak to city staff, and speak to the city council about their concerns. And at that time, design details, lot sizes, open space calculations, parks, those sorts of things would be discussed at length. We don't have those details here tonight because it's a major general plan amendment, meaning it's a very macro scale land use decision. But fortunately, because of the history on this property, we have a significant amount of research done on the civil engineering side and on the drainage and all of those sorts of things. that research will likely influence what happens when we get to the zoning case. We're just not there yet. We're just asking, does master plan community make sense on this property in this location? We have provided a conceptual land use plan for a reference document or a reference exhibit to the city staff, and it is anticipated that the higher density residential and the non-residential, meaning commercial sorts of uses, would certainly be oriented away from the ranchette homes and be clustered at the center of this large project away from those homes. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions, and please, if I missed anything, let me know, and I would be more than happy to address your concerns as well, of course, for everybody here. And for the members of the public that are here, the mouse is up here if you want to toggle to any of the slides that were up here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I just have two more after this. So, as required, in terms of staff finds that the amendment is consistent with the general plan, and the land use was proposed will most be compatible with the land use for the area and the entitled zoning approved per the county from 2005. The balance of land uses with a master plan community designation is desired by the city and consistent with the general plan to increase inventory of land within a given zoning district. And finally, the amendment will promote the growth in the city in an orderly manner to protect the public health, safety, and general welfare. I do want to make mention that we did get two more written public comments submitted today for the record. They were in relation to preservation of rural lifestyle, traffic, and similar topics that were discussed at the previous meeting. But I just want to make mention that we did receive them. They are for the record as well. And then lastly, staff recommends approval of the major general plan amendment case number GPA 2103 subject to the staff conditions approval stating the staff report as amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Madam Chair, Commissioners, at this time, you can go ahead and open the item for a public hearing and afterwards close it, and then staff will be happy to answer any questions or the applicant as well.
Righty, thank you. I do have a couple cards on this, and I will, as we did the last one and any other one, ask everybody to keep their comments to 3 minutes. Please remember we cannot answer questions, but we can hear your concerns and ask staff to address those as such. So first one is going to be Jackie Shields. Please state your name and your address for the records, please, and remember 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Shields, and I live at 34710 West Joe Blanca Road in Stanfield 85172. I know previously, and they had addressed a bit of the flood zone, but that's what I'd like to speak with you a bit about today. I personally had reached out to Chris Wanamaker, who is the main, I don't know, he has a whole bunch of different digits behind his name, but he is with Pinal County Developmental Services, and he works specifically with the floodplain and flood zones. He is also a member on the Lower Santa Cruz committee as well. And basically what Chris, he was so kind to send me an email that states that he wanted to thank me for the call and that he was not aware that Santa Cruz Ranch was coming back to life after more than 15 years, that this project does have significant floodplain challenges to overcome before anything can be built. So he was a bit surprised, excuse me, that they have not come back into the county to restart the development discussion. And that was kind of my understanding. I was kind of surprised that they hadn't reached out to him either. He stated that the project would need to provide a solution to the floodplain that does not result in adverse impact to us or to adjacent properties. In other words, Pinal County cannot improve any development that causes flooding or negatively impacts existing products or properties in the area. The original solution, going back to 2005, that Santa Cruz Ranch provided, which is the levee, as they were stating, would not likely work for today for a number of reasons. And as part of the review process, the developer would need to file for a floodplain use permit, and he went on to state that with Pinal County, and that also file a floodplain map revision documents with Pinal County and with FEVA, just as much as they had stated. But basically what it's amounting to is that the levy, and he stated that to me when I spoke with him, is that it got shot down in 2005 for this reason, and that reason is still what they're using as part of their their backing, if you will. So they're really going to have to come up with something significantly greater than the levy process to make this work if they want to put the subdivision in. And that's essentially what Chris had to say. And so I thought that was really informative and good information for all of us. And then as far as any other items are concerned, I know that we have another gentleman that's here to talk about the other water issues and so forth. But when it comes to floodplain, again, that is a huge concern for our community. And the other big concern for our community, and we had the opportunity to meet with the mayor. He was wonderful. However, the mayor, as I understood it, stated specifically to us that once something is annexed, and I know they kind of feel like we're doing this a little early, but once something is annexed a specific way, so master plan community, that then this is asking for 3 to 10 homes per annexation, and that you guys really don't have any control beyond that. So my question, that's if this community does come to fruition, the real concern here is not so much a community. The real concern is the type of community and the amount of homes that's coming in. And again, going back to where it's going to be located, the floodplain and the water issues. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, next one I have is Dave Smith. And I do apologize if I butchered your name. Right?
My name's
Last
Dave.
time I didn't even try.
Go ahead. My name's Dave Klingensmith. I live at 34560 West Joe Blanco Road in Stanfield. And I talked last time about water. And I really want to stress that Santa Cruz Water Company, which is Global Water, actually uses groundwater 100%. There is no surface water treatment plant in this town. Not yet, anyway. So that being said, according to the Assured Water Supply certification from the Water Resources Department of the state, the 100-year, the historic water level on some wells in this town, the average on the north side is 213 feet in depth. The average on the southwest is 393 feet. Now, this is directly out of their document. They expect the water level to drop, not to exceed 1,100 feet within 100 years. And that sounds like a long time. But within 100 years, that's 8.87 feet per year. So you're talking within 5 to 10 years, if it drops 8.87 feet per year, our wells are going to be dry within 5 to 10 years, unless we re-drill and go deeper on our property. So that is a real concern. The information used to supply this information for the certificate from the state is more than 10 years old. Right? That report was done, the hydrology is even further out than that. So they come through, they did some revisions. The last revision was, I had it here. The last revision was December 22nd, 2011. So I think their estimates, and from what my calculations are, and I've been in the water business for a long time, is grossly underestimated. You know, they're saying that just in that area, they're only going to use about 1,460 acre foot per year. They're going to use 3,200 acre foot per year for 6,000 homes. That's a lot of water. and that's a lot of groundwater. And you know, I think if they had to redo this report again and go through the hydrology again, it wouldn't meet the standards with the county. That would be, they would change things to where you could build differently. I'm not opposed to progress and building, but I'd like to see it more, you know, a few homes per acre or something like that, where you can actually conserve the water that's actually out there in the ground. That water took millions of years to get there, and you guys are going to draw it out within no time at all. You just look at Prescott, and I mentioned that last time. You know, I really think they need to do all that information again, and go through that. And I know that half of that property's been already planned for a master plan community. But if you guys annex that property, you guys can change the zoning to whatever you want. So they keep throwing out Pinell County, but Pinell County zoning's out the door once you guys annex it, so you can change that. But water's a real big resource, and it's non-replaceable. Once you build all the homes, you're kind of stuck. But that's all I have to say on that. But if you need copies of the report, you can contact me. I have all that information from the state. It's about 300-page stack, but I can give you the contact where you can get that off the web, and you can look at all those reports and stuff on that property, or Santa Cruz water. But I need to stress again, all the water is groundwater here. So they are going to take out the groundwater. And this report talks about the wells that are further out, not in this development. But, you know, they're going to be drawing out of our place too. And I am concerned about my well, and probably everybody else here is also. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, I have one more card, and that is for Kenneth Cardone.
Hi, my name is Kenneth Cardon. I live at 34745 West Teal Road, Stanfield, Arizona, 85172. My house is going to be directly across the street from this development, so it's like right there. But one thing they mentioned is that the traffic only goes north and east and west off Maricopa Casa Grande Highway. Well, here's my problem with that is I leave for work and I head towards the Maricopa Casa Grande Highway. And if he's only going to improve part of Anderson, and they're saying it's not going to come, the people there aren't going to go south or head that way, okay, cool, that's great and all, but what happens when I need to get out? What happens when everybody else needs to get out, needs to go to the Casa Grande, or needs to go to Maricopa, or needs to go to Chandler? We need to try and get out because, you know, you have an emergency, your wife's having a baby, there's an ambulance, there's all these different things that these 6,000 people are going to clog up this area of congestion. And trying to get out, or me trying to get back home from work, that's going to cause issues because now you're having 6,000 people leaving and you're going to have 6,000 people all coming back. Now, true, it's up to a point, but that's a huge major concern for me as somebody who consistently drives long distances to get to work, and I have to go out that way because if I go out the other way towards the south, I'm adding an hour and a half drive. And then another thing that I found really interesting is that the 2020 Census Bureau, when it came out, said that Maricopa was the largest city in Pinell County. We have outgrown Casa Grande. So, but yet we still don't have all the infrastructure that Casa Grande does. And I've been told, oh, well, we need more people so these bigger businesses will come here. Well, what happens when all that commercial land, or all that land that could be rezoned for commercial land, is gone? They don't want us to be a commuter town? Then leave us land to rezone to commercial so that we have that infrastructure so we don't have to be that commuter town. You continue building these homes, and you continue building all of these developments, and you continue taking away all this land, what is left for the city of Maricopa to build to not be a commuter town? It's just not going to happen. You're going to have too many people, increase traffic, increase accidents, and increased death. That's how I look at it. So I encourage you to take a look at the traffic supply, traffic roadways, what can we do to improve the infrastructure in our town, and how is a master plan community with 6,000 homes going to help us? Is that the right decision? No. You could change that, rezone that land to commercial and make it some sort of ranch that people can come and bring their horses in and train and stuff. Because I know there's people in the town of Maricopa City that would love to have horses or would come there to support this person, to send their kids over there to ride or to help the 4-H kids and community that we have here. That we were so desperate to have a farming community, to have these 4-H kids, have these kids learn how to ride horses, get them outdoors, get them away from these computer screens and these TVs and tablets. So something I want you to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have any other speaker cards. Does anybody else want to speak before we close the public hearing? Okay, with that being said, we will close the public hearing. All right, commissioners, let's go out to the internet, the internet first. Commissioner Frank.
Madam Chair, before you do that, for the commissioners, I want to make sure I'm clear that the issue we're dealing with is simply changing the zoning from undesignated to master plan, right?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, everything is correct except it's land use change. We're not.
Land use change. So I just, if that's the case, then I would question us getting into issues of anything other than that. I think would be out of order. So I think they're great points, but I think they're not really germane to that. For instance, no matter what we did, it's still totally open to debate how many houses would be there. We're not voting for that.
Correct.
So I just think it's clear that that's all this motion calls for. Anything beyond that, I think is out of order. My opinion.
That is correct. So with that being said, we can definitely keep our questions to staff related to that. And just for clarification purposes, all of the statements and comments being made by the homeowners are indeed valid, and they can definitely be brought back time and time again through every step of this process. The annexation is not even on the table right now tonight. The water usage is not even on the table tonight. The traffic is not on the table tonight. None of those topics, which are very, very important, as you heard us asking staff to get those comments and those addressed for us, those are not on the agenda for tonight, but we wanted to make sure that everybody voices is heard at every step of this way. Tonight is only for the land use. With that being said, Commissioner Frank, any questions, comments? I'll come back just in case. Commissioner Rachel, anything? Oh, we'll come back to the internet. I'm going to start over here on this side. Commissioner Bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rudy, I had just one clarification. At one time, this parcel of land was somewhat of an island outside the city, but with the annexation of the Hartman Ranch, it is now continuous to the city. Is that correct?
Let me just try to, the exhibit's not there. We were contiguous, I will say as of 2016. There's a portion out there that's owned by Ak-Chin that they purchased, and they filed petition with the Bureau of Indian Affairs as somewhat of, I believe it's called fee simple process, where it makes it known as sovereign nation. So we were somewhat discontiguous from that notion, but at one point we are continuous in this portion that's south of Hartman Ranch area, the Anderson-Russell area, that is city limits, and this, you know, eventually if and when this becomes annexed into the city, it'll be a contiguous area of the city.
Thank you. That's all.
Irving.
It's not really a question. I just want to make sure I'm clear again. If we vote to change this land usage, what's the next step for the developer, so we're all clear on that?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, at this time, if they want to process an annexation petition to annex into the city, they'll have to go through the city itself for review. At that point, if the annexation petition is valid and processed and accepted, I believe it's a 30-day or 90-day window of declaring what zoning they have. So they have a PAD zoning with the county, and we also have City of Maricopa PAD zoning district. And that process will take place where they have the option to upzone or rezone or be the consistent apples to apples zoning district of what they have in the county to what they have in the city, and we can look at the same consistent zoning. After the rezoning process, then we'll require a preliminary plat submittal, and that's where we see the 50% design drawings to identify how the platting process is, how they're going to provide water, how they're going to address the flood concerns of the area, how they can address traffic within the area. So that will be reviewed by this commission for review and approval prior to it going to the final plat process for recordation and then eventually construction.
Very good. Commissioner Yoakum.
Just two comments. When we're looking at amending a general plan, what we have to look at is how is that land going to be used versus how is it being used now. And if we want to have more effective use of this land, I think that when we take it from agriculture to basically a mixed use of housing and commercial employment and so forth, we're only using 1/3 as much water. And I think that's very important. I think the general plan is looking for something like that. Also, this is a relatively large project and it's harmoniously planned. It's going to include commercial employment, parks, and open space, and our general plan is looking for that kind of development. So as far as the general plan and what it asks us to look at, I think they are two very important parts of it.
All right, let's try one more time with the internet. Commissioner Frank?
Abel said that they'd have to call back in. We'd have to pause for them to reconnect.
Okay.
Do you want to try that?
I want to give their voices a chance.
Rachel, I just texted Rachel LaFall. She should be calling in. So if Rachel LaFall, are you on the phone?
Welcome to Lumen Conferencing. Please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key, and I'll connect you. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed.
About Dan Frank.
When you hear the tone, you will be the second person to join the meeting.
Commissioner LaFall or Commissioner Frank, are you guys on the phone?
Yes, this is Commissioner Frank.
I agree with
Your
that.
voice has changed.
All right, we're going to come back out to you guys. Commissioner Rachel LaFall, any questions, comments?
I made it back, yes. I apologize for having some technical difficulties, but I don't have any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Frank.
Yeah, I too had technical difficulties, so I don't think it was just Rachel in this. Yeah, I don't know how I really feel about this project. We're talking land use, and there's all kinds of challenges with this particular piece of land. Everything from floodplain to water to the airport to everything else. And to me, the argument that, well, that the rest of the area is zoned as master plan community, we should just zone this as master plan community, that doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe it was zoned, or the land use is wrong to start with. You know, we have to look at that. I think we're, you know, put in charge of this and be stewards of the land in this way and what occurs. And I don't think this is the right land use for this particular area. I'm sorry.
Okay, the only thing that I'm looking at is the fact that if we change this, we actually have more control over it. Whereas leaving it the way that we have it, they can just start building right now because they have permission from Pinal County. So by us doing this, we can actually better serve the voices of our people that are out there versus letting Pinal County do it that don't even really live there. So I think this is actually a better use of our abilities to have more control. Again, we're not talking about any of the other things that everybody's talking about, the annexation, the water control, the traffic. That's not even on the table right now. Right now, what we're talking about is the use of the land. And it already is earmarked for a master plan. And this just gives us the ability to have a better handle on it and a better control to be able to dictate a little bit better of what we're going to be doing with it down the line, or what anybody's going to be able to do with it down the line. Because if we leave it as it is, Pinal County can just say, okay, you've got permission, go. We don't even need to do anything more. And to that one point of the one homeowner who said that the floodplain committee is already saying that what is being presented is not going to work. Well, we'll have more control over that than Pinal County would, because we're going to have it in our jurisdiction and not be separated. And I just think it's a better use for us. And not only that, but everybody's going to be able to be treated fairly and squarely, whereas it could eventually be one side of the street is unincorporated areas of Pinal County and under that jurisdiction, and the other side of the street is Maricopa. And now we can have the say both ways, instead of having one side look one way and the other side look the other way, because that's what the zoning calls for. So I think this is ultimately a better plan for us down the line. And this isn't going to pop up tomorrow. This is a long ways out, because there's a lot more work to be done as it stands. And I think we are able to have more control over those abilities as we march forward. Because as somebody at the last meeting said, and it was so pointedly made, I liked it, and I wish I could remember it verbatim, but they said, progress is going to happen. It's gonna happen. But this way we can actually control that progress entirety in its whole project. And I don't know, I like what we're doing because we're gonna have control over it. And I think that's really all I have to say. Yes, Mr. Yocum.
One additional comment. I don't know what Dave's last name was, Killingsby, something like that. Is Dave still here? Because the reason I refer to him, he had talked to us about the water issues on this property. No matter what happens there, we have the water issues and he said that what we're looking at now was based on 10-year-old data. And I just wonder if we should be looking or updating that data to at least take a look at the water picture.
Yeah.
Well, to that point, please understand that will be reevaluated.
That'll be part of
But so I think that we should add particular attention to that.
Well,
we will.
At the next step. Because like I keep saying, and Commissioner Irving is saying, this is just the first step in many, many steps. Is it possible for you to pull that slide back up?
Well, sorry, I can't for now, but just let me reiterate basically to commissioners, any reports that typically is outdated, planning staff as a city will require an updated report, whether it's a soils report, a flood drainage report, gradient drainage, water infrastructure report. We will have to get updated reports, and we will not accept documents definitely that's 15 decades or even 5+ years old. We constantly, even 2 years old, if it's outdated for 2 years, we actually ask sometimes for updated reports because a lot of the conditions have changed. So again, what I mentioned with Commissioner Irving asking the question, what is the next step process? The rezoning, the platting, the pre-platting, and the final platting will have more up-to-date relevant reports, and obviously being with the flood control area of the area of Pinal County, Chris Wanamaker and folks will definitely be involved in that process as well.
Well, again, to what I was saying earlier, we will have more control over this project as we go through the steps.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve GPA 21-03 Santa Cruz Ranch.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
No.
So
Motion passed.
passes because we still have majority. Thank you. All righty, 5.2, GPA 21-02, public hearing, major general plan amendment case, GPA 21-02, Cali Ranches, a request by Norris Design on behalf of Cali Companies to amend general plan future use land use map for approximately 100 acres from existing commercial C plus or minus 90 gross acres, open space plus or minus 9 gross acres, and employment plus or minus 1 gross acres to medium density residential for future development of a residential community generally located on the southeast corner of North Porter Road and West Maricopa Casa Grande Highway. Discussion and action. And if we can just wait a minute.
Good evening, Commissioners, Madam Chair.
Hang on one second, if you would, please. All righty. Public hearing, we're going to go ahead and let staff and the applicant, if they're there, and then we'll open it up.
Okay, this is the second public hearing for this case, GPA 21-02 Kelly Farms, major general plan amendment. Request by Norris Design on behalf of Cali Companies. This is Cali Companies is the applicant. The landowner is still Owen and Shirley Kelly, who are going to remain on the property, on a portion of the property, if this development moves forward. This is about 100 acres of existing land that has several different different land uses that are associated with the parcel. Currently, it's a mixture of commercial, which is the largest portion, about 90 acres. Got a smaller portion, about 9 acres of open space, and about 1 acre of employment. The applicant is asking to change the land use designation to a medium density residential for the future development of the residential community. First step of the process of the entitlement process is the general plan, step 1, followed by, did that again, ignore step 2, followed by step 3, rezone, step 4, pre-plat, and finally would be a final plat. Existing zoning on the property is general rural and industrial zone. Like I said before, commercial, open space, and employment are the land use categories. The location is the southeast corner of Porter Road and Maricopa Casa Grande Highway, more specifically bordered adjacent to the north by the Union Pacific Railroad. So as we look at the site, we can see that the current designation of commercial, employment, and open space area is outlined in white. As you can see to the north is the Maricopa Casa Grande Highway and the railroad just actually south of the highway itself. So railroad, then highway, and then across the street we have the Walmart and the commercial center that's existing. The graphic on the right would show the product of the general plan amendment. If amended and approved, you can see that the whole area would then, and within white, would be a consistent general use designation of MDR. I'd also like to note that it would be consistent with the surrounding MDR to the south, to the southwest, and to the west of the property, with the open space being the wash in between. with the highway and railroad acting kind of as a separation between the residential land uses to the south of the highway and the more commercial and future mixed use to the north. I'm not going to read through these slides, but the existing land use of commercial, we know what commercial is, intent to provide community scale shopping, offices, medical facilities, etc. Open space, that small percentage, right to the very south part of the wash. Then the employment is just a very, very small portion. Medium density residential will be planned. This is a medium, 2 to 6 dwelling units per acre. So pretty consistent with most of the subdivisions that we have within the city. Similar dimensions, similar lot sizes, similar densities. Just a reminder from the previous case as well, as we talked about, the general plan is a framework. It's not to promote special interests. It's not a rigid document. It is adaptable. So if it makes sense at the current environment to change the general plan, it does have the flexibility to be amended. It is not a zoning document. So this is the conceptual land use plan. As you can see, that the MDR, entire parcel of MDR, primary access point would be the continuation of Iron Point Road at the northwest corner of the property, but also have a secondary access point a little further down, and then a third access point once the proposed east-west corridor parkway is built. The developer foresees that third access point coming directly off of that east-west corridor. Roadway improvements, a lot of this has already been planned as part of our capital improvement projects. However, any impact fees that would be collected through the development of this area, all that, the impact fees would go toward the cost of any roadway improvements in the adjacent area specifically, and then whatever's left over would go to other roadway improvements that are planned across the city. So as required by the general plan, the following goals and objectives are considered for the request: the land use, the circulation, parks, rec, and open space, growth area, parks, recreation, and open space again for the second time. This is part of a growth area, and the applicant makes a valid point that the circulation, as shown, does not really support the commercial land use for this area. It's kind of cut off by there's really not a lot of access to the parcel currently, and then you have the railroad directly adjacent to the north with very limited access. It would be kind of a hard spot, and it's such a large parcel for a large-scale commercial type of business on that parcel. So we looked at that. We also looked at the criteria, was whether or not it should be a major versus a minor. Anything over 40 acres that goes from commercial to any residential, it does require a major amendment to the city general plan. So as you can see, this one does match those parameters. The public comment period was followed. Several advertisements were made, signage published in the Maricopa Monitor. Notification letters were sent out. A neighborhood meeting was held. The state statute notice requirement was met. And then this item was previously heard at the Copper Sky Recreational Facility on 9/27/2021. I believe we had one speaker at that meeting. So when we looked at this request, we found that the amendment is consistent with the general plan, that the change in district boundaries is necessary to achieve the balance of land uses desired by the city. The amendment will promote the growth of the city in an orderly manner and protect the public health. Give me 1 second here. So currently, per the general plan, the projected growth rate for the city and annual new home permit averages actually suggests that the city's current single-family home inventory could be depleted by 2025, 2031. So currently, with the housing study, it does show that we still need more housing in the city. So with that said, we believe this is a very logical spot for that additional housing based on the issues of the site that I brought up earlier. And I think, above all, I think what it came down to was if this was a viable spot for commercial, we probably would have seen some sort of commercial interest by now on the site. It's been designated commercial for a very long time, and no one has gone there for a good reason. It's not a logical fit. So with that said, staff recommends approval of the general plan amendment case 21-02, subject to the conditions and approval stated in the staff report, and is amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Before we have any questions or before we open this up to public hearing, last time we were here, the commissioners requested some sort of a land use analysis. I did include that. It was produced by the applicant for the commissioners. I did include that in the staff report as Exhibit D. However, we do have some time if needed. The applicant could come up here and present the findings of that Exhibit D upon the commissioner's discretion, if you guys want to see that or not.
I think that would be great.
Okay. Abel, can you move to the next PowerPoint, please? Thank you. Jennifer?
Oh, there we go. Which is? Okay. Good evening, commissioners and Chair. My name is Jennifer Myers. I'm with Norris Design, 901 East Madison Street in Phoenix, Arizona. And I am representing Cowley Companies, the applicant tonight. So we did hear your concerns during the last meeting regarding land use and what is proposed and what is being changed in the city of Maricopa. So we did our best taking a look at the public records online through the city's website to understand what changes have happened since the approved general plan that was adopted in 2016. So if you can see on the table there, everything that's kind of in the left-hand columns represents what was the percentage of land use within the incorporated city as shown in the 2016 general plan. And then based on research from looking at past city council agendas and meeting notes and kind of looking through the data of what general plan amendments have gone through and been approved in the last 5 years, we did an approximate tally of those acreages. And so what you're seeing on the right-hand side of that table is the changes. So this is all a bunch of text, but what the research is showing is that there were approximately 8 general plan land use modifications, both major and minor, over the last 5 years, and that the numbers indicate that approximately 27% of the land is for planned residential uses, which is just strictly rural, low-density residential, medium-density residential, and high-density residential. Approximately 25% of the area was planned for commercial and/or employment uses, and that's specifically in categories commercial, employment, and research and development. And less than 1% is planned for light industrial, because I know that was another question that you had, Chair. So the mixed use and master plan community categories are also intended to be developed with both residential and or commercial and employment uses, which is, it's very deceiving from looking at the numbers, right? So if I go back to this and you see that master plan communities are 33.24% approximately of the total land value, or excuse me, the total land area, and the mixed use is 2.6. A portion of those will be and are planned for commercial development as well. So it's a little deceiving as you're looking, if you're looking just straight at the numbers. And so some things that we noticed was that there was a slight, if you look at the trends there was a slight increase in the higher density residential and MPC designations, and a decrease in the low density and the employment over the last 5 years. So when we're talking about our site specifically, designation of predominantly of commercial, right? As Byron explained, the site is very constrained to develop the property as a viable commercial center. Anything over 40 acres of commercial in the general plan is typically thought of as a regional commercial area. And at this time, there's one point of access, which is Porter Road. There is no access to the north to Maricopa Highway, to Maricopa Casa Grande Highway, because of the railroad. So there's a significant burden on the property if you're trying to develop as commercial. Santa Rosa Wash runs along the south portion of the site. So again, there is no vehicular movement north or south. You can only go west. If you know commercial centers, they like many points of access. so it is a challenge to develop something that large of scale with just the access off of Porter Road. I think that is all that we have. Thank you so much, Byron, for explaining those site constraints. And if you have any additional questions, I'm more than willing to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Byron?
Public.
No, you're done? Okay. So we do need to open this up because this is a public hearing as well. So we will go ahead and open up the public hearing at 7:14. Just remember to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. I do not have any speaker cards, so if you would like to speak. I'll close the public hearing. All right, let's open this up to comments from the commissioners. Let's start outside. Commissioner LaFalle, anything?
I do have a question with the entry being just one and the number of residents that are proposed for the development. How much of an impact has been analyzed to those residents?
Commissioner LaFalle, thank you for your question. So as this is just a general plan amendment, the site itself, looking at lots, looking at interior circulation patterns, access points, those things would have to be reevaluated at the time of development. Currently, they're showing very conceptual land use plan that's showing the 3 points of access based on future proposed east-west corridor, which, as you know, is definitely in the works and has been approved, and the existing Porter Road.
Okay, and my last question is, if we vote to move this project forward, the same way that it was commercial and now it's being zoned differently so that we can get something there, it sounds like we might be in the same boat moving forward, if that other remaining land isn't used, then we might end up having that one rezoned as well. Is that correct?
Commissioner LaFalle, if you could clarify your question one more time, please.
You want me to repeat it?
Yes, please, if you could clarify the last question.
I apologize. The connection is not great. So I'm asking, so before if it was zoned commercial and now we're rezoning because it's been sitting. So later on, and I'm just trying to refresh my memory from our last conversation on our discussion on this. If that remaining portion is not developed, we could then find ourselves back here again to where it's rezoned once again as, say, residential.
So this is the general plan amendment that would change the general plan future land use to a medium density residential. So with any future rezone cases that came before the commission, they would have to meet that medium density residential parameters to support any sort of rezone to the property itself.
Any other questions, Ms. Rachel?
No, I think I'm going to refrain because the connection and the delay is not that effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Frank, anything?
I think we may have lost Commissioner Frank. Commissioner Frank, are you there?
He can't hear on the phone again.
Okay, we'll come back before we get to the end. Commissioner Yoakum.
The only comment I have, in the staff report, it was indicated that higher density and more commercial mixed use are not appropriate for this site. So I think the direction we're going in looking at the general plan is the right one.
Thank you. Commissioner Urbane. Commissioner Bill. Okay, one more time. Commissioner Frank?
This is Dan. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't have any questions on this particular item.
Okay, I don't have any questions per se, but I'm still struggling with the traffic issue, and I know that's something that could be addressed down the line, but I guess my struggle is moving this from commercial to residential puts more people per capita in this area. If it's commercial, then we don't have as many people to where if first responders are trying to get there, it's less people that we have to be concerned about, and that's where I'm struggling with this. I know my heart's telling me that I need to look at that, but my head's saying that, to Commissioner Urbane's point, what else are we going to do with it? It's not in a good location. It's got the railroad on one side, and it's got, it's a mess of a piece of property, and I commend the applicant for even wanting to try to do something with this piece of property. So I guess with that being said, I guess I'd have to fight the fight later on the way of traffic, because this is not the time and the place to do that. And I'll be somebody's thorn in their side later, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to have to hold all of that, but just know that's my struggle, and that's a struggle that we all have on this commission is traffic. Just word of the wise to the applicant, because that is what we are concerned about. So with that being said, this is a discussion and an action item. So commissioners, do I have action? I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, I'll give that second to Miss Rachel since she has a delay. The delayed second. All right, with that being said, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. All right, guys, next one, 5.3, GPA 21-06, public hearing as well. Minor general plan amendment, case GPA 21-06, Maricopa 40A requests CVL Consultants on behalf of Emerson Enterprises to change the designated land use of approximately 40.43 acres to low-density residential LDR to master plan community MPC with 38.83 dedicated to residential and 1.5 acres dedicated to commercial, generally located on the northwest corner of West Steed Road and North Murphy Road. Discussion and action. I'm just going to ask, did we verify the number of acres on that, Rudy?
Yes, I have verified that. It's at 40.43.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure for the record. I'm going to change the next item then to reflect 40.43. Thank you. Go ahead.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you, Planning and Zoning Commission. For the record, I am Corin Huber, Planner 2 for the City of Maricopa. So this GPA 21-06 is a request by CVL Consultants on behalf of Emerson Enterprises to change the designated general plan land use of 40.43 acres from low-density residential to a master planned community with 38.83 dedicated to residential and 1.5 acres in the southwest corner dedicated to commercial. This is generally located on the northwest corner of West Steen Road and North Murphy Road. So this is phase 1 in the 4-step entitlement process. This is the general plan, and we will also be looking at rezoning later on tonight. So the site acreage is 40.43 acres. It is parcel 502-060-35B. Its existing site use is vacant. The proposed site use is for single-family residential with low-density residential as the current existing general plan, and it will be pending a pad approval. This project is 40.43 acres, and the development is seeking to amend the city's general plan to increase the usage of the land from low-density residential to a mix of medium-density residential and having a corner for commercial as well. It's very clear after analyzing this project that the land use suggested better fits the area as neighboring parcels to the north and the east are master planned communities. As defined by the general plan, medium density residential provides for a suburban lifestyle with planned single family residential neighborhoods, including open space, recreation, and cultural opportunities. Part of the reason why I believe that the land use is a better fit is that medium density and residential as well as master planned community land use contributes to 56% of the overall land use designation in accordance with our general plan. While the density of the designation for the development permits anywhere between 2 dwelling units per acre and 6 dwelling units per acre, they are looking to develop 190 single-family units on 38.83 acres. So that ranges between 4 and 5 acres per unit. This is the site as it currently exists, and this is north of Steen and west of North Murphy Road. So the current existing general plan land use is for low-density residential, and the proposal here is to include this as more medium-density residential, leaving a lot for commercial. As you can see, to the east and to the north are master plan communities which have a general density of 3 dwelling units to 10 dwelling units per acre. So the 2 to 6 figure here goes better with those neighboring adjacent parcels. So the general land use map amendment has been analyzed to see the fit between the proposed use and its surroundings. The proposed land uses changes that do not meet or exceed the threshold for the major plan amendment, classifying this as a minor amendment. As this development is well south of the 80-acre threshold, with 38.83 acres of medium-density residential and 1.5 acres of commercial. In addition to the general plan amendment, the area will be seeking a rezone in a following case, the planned area development to come, and this is going to be more in line with the surrounding residential properties. City staff has analyzed the infrastructure and will require the developer to provide half-street road improvements. After analyzing the general plan proposal, the following applies. The master plan community land use is sited along Murphy Road and will have adequate connectivity for something that is closer to a medium density residential. The Maricopa 40 for medium density residential will provide more land for the housing stock to provide a greater increase in housing. This creates safe and functional pedestrian ways and bicycle routes as an alternative mode of travel throughout Maricopa. The application also includes greater potential connectivity between the medium density residential and the surrounding communities with the inclusion of commercial land, which will provide more area opportunities for commercial that is less concentrated and therefore creates more of a neighborhood commercial environment. As this is a general plan amendment, the due diligence was done in accordance with the zoning code, including posting a notification prior to the meeting in the Casa Grande Dispatch, mailing out letter notifications to everyone within 600 feet, posting notifications on the site in general, and then in addition, on October 7th, the applicant held a neighborhood meeting in a centrally convenient location, as it states in our code. As of this time, staff has not received any formal comments regarding this request. Therefore, with all this in mind, staff recommends approval of GPA 21-06, subject to the conditions of approval provided in the staff report and as amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
We don't have any applicant here?
We do, yes.
Did you
the
want
applicant is present.
Did they want to present anything? Okay. This is a public hearing, so we do need to open this up for public hearing as well at 7:31. If you would like to press on this, please step forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Okay, Commissioner LaFalle, anything on this one?
Again, a point of clarification. There are two separate issues here. Are we going to do them combined or separate them?
Well, they're both public hearings, so we got to do.
That's all I'm asking. I mean,
Oh,
they're
yes,
presenting it like it's, or I thought it's one, but But basically, we're going to do with each issue separately, right?
Correct. Because we have
Even
to-
though they say they're doing it concurrently, I don't know how you can do it concurrently, that's all.
They just presented it concurrently. The attorney's shaking her head yes. She keeps us legal.
Sneak one back. We're tired, right? Yeah.
Oh, she won't let that happen.
We won't let that happen.
No, that too. We'll stay here all night. Maybe. All right. Commissioner LaFall, anything?
Which one?
Just a comment, and this is my continued comment on that area. First, it's great that, there is the proposal to develop more in that area, but there is that major issue of flooding, and that's a continued concern because that's that road that's constantly shut down whenever we have just a bit of rain, or I guess heavier rain. So just wanted to make sure that that is of note to staff. And my second comment was, the concern on the limited commercial. So the more we're building residential back in that area, because Tortosa, I think it's Tortosa South is under full development there with that limited commercial. Just concerned about all these residential developments without any commercial, or very sparing commercial. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Frank?
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bill? Comments? Commissioner Irving?
Yes, again, I guess I'm still not clear. I have a couple of questions about the first one. Are we? Yeah, okay. My concern on the first request from low density to, it's obviously, to put more units in there. That I have a problem with because, again, I think we need to sort of look at that area and what it eventually will be. So, my question is, I know we have a need, but in light of all the other properties that we've been approving, I see no real reason to change that from low. Somebody could give me a dire reason why that needs to happen. Just creating more units when I think we're reaching it in other ways.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Yocum?
Well, looking just at the general plan, I think what we're trying to do here does dovetail with the general plan requirements. Jim, about why are we doing some medium, why are we changing the density?
I can potentially answer the question as to why we are looking at including a higher density, sure. And that is, in part, this GPA allows for the planned area development that is assigned to this to be appropriate. Meaning that the planned area development that is indicated in the upcoming case is more along the lines of including medium density residential so that it is able to be more in line with the rest of the surrounding uses and surrounding property where its current base zoning is industrial. I do not find this to be an adequate location for industrial usage as the surrounding environments are more along the lines of residential.
But it's already residential. It's going, the second part makes sense because you can't have industrial near a high school anyway. The first part, it's already zoned for residential.
Low-density residential, that's correct.
So if it's already zoned, it's just a matter, unless I'm missing something, all you want to do is take it from low to medium, right?
That would be accurate.
That's what
How many houses per acre on low?
On low?
2.
2 at the most.
Okay, and medium?
Go to 6.
And then medium, the intention is not to go to 6. The intention would be between 4 and 5.
And again, I still haven't heard you respond to, other than more money, why?
If you look at the narrative submitted by the applicant, he says smaller lot sizes meet current desire of homeowners.
Well, of course, they make more money that way. Never mind.
The applicant is also here to address any
I
questions.
was just going to say, she's standing right behind you, chomping at the bit to get up here and talk. So let's bring her up. Come on.
Thank you, Corin, for your presentation. Thank you, Madam Chairman and Commission. My name is Julie Vermillion with Cohen Van Loo Consultants, the applicant for the project. We're at 4550 North 12th Street, Phoenix, Arizona. I would like to address your concerns regarding our property. The first one, I believe, was regarding drainage. I have the drainage report here. It's been approved. The site will actually be protected from local flooding by the Regional Solution Drainage Infrastructure that's currently being designed by Wood Patel. It should be approved within the next 18 months or so well within the time that our development will be constructed. We believe that will help lift a portion of the property out of the floodplain. Currently, only a small portion along the southern boundary, about 60 feet, is within the floodplain, and we're actually providing that as an open space corridor. So that will have a trail and with shade trees and a nice amenity area. We purposefully did not put houses in the floodplain, so drainage and flooding should not be an issue for our development. Additionally, I believe there was concern regarding the change from the general plan, which we're discussing now, from the low-density residential to medium-density residential. There is no low-density residential 1 acre per lot type of development in the area. Directly to the north is the approved Cortona PAD. It's a master plan community, and our lot sizes are consistent or close to that of the already approved master plan community. Directly to the south, there's about 80 acres that is undeveloped, but could potentially be developed to a similar consistency. South of Steen Road is the Eagle Shadows community. That's already an approved PAD that does have approximately similar medium-density residential use. And to the east of Murphy Road is also designated master plan community. So what we're proposing is directly in line with the existing surrounding areas of the property and the existing character of the neighborhood that's intended to be developed. Additionally, we are proposing a small portion of the site as commercial, which will be a neighborhood retail parcel. We're intending possibly a farmer's market or something along those lines to support our community, and we believe that would be an appropriate use of the site in this area of Maricopa.
No, but in that area, there is no other than farms and Volkswagen and the high school. So I think, again, back to some of the issues we heard originally, it's nice to keep some options for those people who do want larger lots. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you've heard a group tonight who said that's what they want. I agree, probably 80% want bigger ones, but this is a real option for those people who might want more property, which gives us more diversity is all I'm saying.
I pulled the map up right here, and I don't know whether or not you guys can pull this map up. It shows the area, and it does show master plan of what she was.
I understand that. All I'm saying is this is a very simple request. Yeah. She wants to change it, and I just...
All right. Any other comments? The only thing that I wanted to say is I do have to say that this is the only developer that is actually putting commercial back in. I found to be exciting. So thank you for that. It's not a lot, but it's enough. I mean, we seem to be doing nothing but taking away, and this seems to be putting it back. I do hear Commissioner Irving's thoughts, and I was thinking the same thing, not only on this one, but the previous one as well. We just keep putting all these medium densities, and where are these bigger lots going to go? But I do hear what you're saying about how the fact that this is surrounded, but to Jim's point, why does everything have to surround everything? I mean, we can keep this low density, or excuse me, keep it low density instead of moving it up to or down to, whichever way you want to look at it, medium. But I do see low density on the other side of it as well. So I think at some point we're going to have to look to say enough's enough. But with the fact that this is next to the others that are planned communities, I think to that point it is true and it is in line with what we've got going on. So with that being said, that's all the comments that I have. This is discussion and action. So is there any action by the commission?
I guess I do have a comment. You know, looking at the area, it's definitely not appropriate for industrial or heavy commercial. Truck traffic in and out of that area for commercial,
especially next to the
industrial.
school.
It doesn't make any sense. That, you know, for our next action item. I also think that the petitioner has probably done their market analysis and knows what will sell in terms of medium density, low density. And I don't see that as our purview to decide what their market analysis will drive sales. That's up to them. That's their right as property owners and property developers to decide that. I do understand the differences between the low and the medium, but I don't see that as something that I would decide. That's a market analysis done by the petitioner and how they think they can sell the property.
And they included that discussion in their narrative and their presentation. They made it, I think they very clearly explained what they're doing and why.
Thank you. This is an action required.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Majority rules. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. That was awesome. All right, 5.4, PAD 21-08, public hearing as well. Pound Area Development 2108, Maricopa 40, a request by CBL Consultants to rezone 40.43 acres from Industrial CI2 to Planned Area Development PAD zoning district, including modified development standards, generally located at the northwest corner of Westeen Road and North Murphy Road. Discussion and action.
Once again, Planner 2, City of Maricopa, Corin Hooper. So this is the rezone for the property that we have just discussed. It's a request by CBL Consultants to rezone 40.43 acres from industrial to planned area development zoning district to include modified standards. This is generally located at the southwest corner of Steen and Murphy Road. This is step 2 in a 4-step process. So Maricopa 40 is a mixed-use project developing both a GPA in the last case and a planned area development in this one to permit single-family with the inclusion of 190 single-family houses. This will also include a commercial retail component comprised of 1.5 acres. The planned area development will maintain the following development standards. The minimum lot area for a planned area development single-family residential is going to be 3,200 square feet with a lot depth of 40 and a 60% maximum lot coverage with the maximum density being that 6 that's proposed in medium density residential. It is proposing a 30-foot height limit And then for retail, up to 20 dwelling units per acre with 40-foot maximum building height and a 12-foot first floor. And then the setbacks are 10 in the front yard, 5 in the sides, and then 15 in the rear. And respectively, 10 on the street side and then 20 on the rear for retail. So the site acreage is 40.43 acres with the parcel 502-060-35B, existing site use vacant, single-family residential, with the existing zoning as industrial, and then the proposed zoning as a planned area development. So as you can see in this map, the current designation for the existing zoning is for CI2, which is designated for an industrial zone. And a huge part of the reason why this should be changed is its incompatibility with the single-family residence designated to the north for CR3 along Murphy Road. And so what they are looking to do is develop this planned area development. And so this is the conceptual land use. As you can see, we are maintaining 2 access points, one towards the north of Murphy Road, and then one where the future retail is anticipated. And we are also preserving access, the development would also preserve access to the existing property to the west. This is the open space plan. As is evident by the future retail, there's projected to be an entry monument with a signage and planter. There are suggested to be at least 3 walking trails, as well as a main park and a mini park. And then there's also going to be streets to overlook the arbor. And so this is the entry and wall concept plan. As you can see, there's a view fence that is projected for the development, generally raising the design standards for this area. And where it says project name, right now that will say Maricopa 40. So one of the things that they are looking to include is detached sidewalks. And so this is the perspective for the entry monument that would be available with the conceptual open space plan, including a number of trees available. So in analyzing the appropriateness of this planned area development, we reviewed a traffic impact analysis that was sent to us by the developer. So the city will require the developer to make a series of improvements, and these include the dedication of a 55-foot right-of-way and then improvements along Murphy Road. And these will include the inclusion of a southbound lane, curb and gutter improvements, as well as sidewalk and landscaping. This was conducted concurrently, and so the PAD and GPA posted a notification in the Casa Grande Dispatch, signs were placed on site, and then letters were also sent out to a 600-foot radius, and then this had the same October 7th meeting in a centrally convenient location. At this time, staff has not received any formal comments regarding the request for this pad to be put in place. So in analyzing this, what we found was that the proposed development is consistent with the general plan, advancing the goals of this general plan. The proposed planned area development will be required to develop and design and have these designs be in compliance with the appropriate design standards. The process will mitigate all potential vehicle and pedestrian traffic that may have a negative impact on health, safety, and welfare of the community. The proposed planned area development will be compatible with the neighborhood area that has already been established, with the master plan community being more in line with this planned area development than, say, industrial. The proposed plan is slated to have exceptional architecture and design elements that would not be typically provided by right or conventional standards, thus giving it these opportunities with the passage of the planned area development. Staff recommends approval of PAD 2108, subject to the conditions of approval stated in the staff report as amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, myself and the applicant would like to field any potential questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Frank, anything?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but something is drastically wrong with this audio system. I mean, I can hear you fine, but when whoever's at the podium speaking, it's painful. It's like almost impossible to hear. So anyway, I have no comment on this item.
All right, so noted, and audio shaking their head, thumbs up, they got it. They'll do what they can. Commissioner Rachel LaFalle, any questions, comments?
I piggyback Commissioner Frank on the audio, only when whoever is speaking, but everything else is fine, and yes. And no question.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Yocum.
The only comment I have, I know that there are concerns about the flood issue, especially where they're going to be trying to put commercial, but I think the discussion pretty well covers that issue, so at this point, I don't have a problem with it.
Thank you. Commissioner Irving?
No questions.
Commissioner Bill?
No questions.
Awesome. I don't have any either. This is an action.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. We got a motion and a couple seconds. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So passed. Thank you very much. All right, 5.5, PAD 21-06, also a public hearing. Planned Area Development 21-06, Moonlight Ridge, a request by RVI Planning and Landscape Architect on behalf of Forrester USA Real Estate Group, Incorporated, seeking to rezone 489.1 gross acres from industrial CI2 to a planned area development PAD zoning district, include modified development standards generally located in the northwest corner of Smith Inc. Road and North Green Road. Discussion and action.
For the record, I would like to state that I am Corin Hooper, Planner 2 with the City of Maricopa, and I will be presenting the PAD for Moonlight Ridge. So this is a request by RVI Planning and Landscape Architecture on behalf of 4-Star USA Real Estate Group, seeking to rezone 489.1 gross acres from industrial to planned area development. This rezoning district, because it's a PAD, will include modified development standards. This is generally located at the northwest corner of Smith Yankee and Green Road. So Moonlight Ridge is a mixed-use project development and planned area development to permit single-family zoning, multifamily residential, and commercial toward the southern corridor. This planned area development continues the GPA 20-05, which was for England Dairy Farms. And so this is, the GPA has currently been passed and is for a master planned community. So this is strictly the rezoning. This rezoning is ultimately for a proposed site which is truly a mixture of uses. It's projected to have 1,350 single-family units, 850 multifamily units, and approximately 180,000 square feet or 300 units of commercial space. In many ways, because this is a mixture of uses within this planned area development, it meets the goals, policies, and intent of the city's general plan. The property is modeled after a mixed-use development using a combination of many of the current standards that are in place, drawing from medium-density residential, high-density residential, neighborhood commercial, as well as open space. So the general plan has already been approved. This is pertaining to the planned area development. And so of the 4 steps, this is in fact the second of those 4. So the site is 489.1 acres. It is currently vacant. The proposed site use is for single-family residential, the existing zoning is currently industrial, and then the proposed zoning is for a planned area development. So this is the site at the kind of the edge of town, adjacent to the Auction Golf Course and similar places. So the zoning that is in place is for CI2 industrial. The current zoning is for general rural. And then the requested zoning is for planned area development. So as you can see, the existing general plan land use is for a master planned community. And then it is next to a number of similar uses. So the master street plan really looks at the connectivity of Smithanky Road and then Green Road as it relates to the side there, that being on the edge of the city of Maricopa, and then that North Green Road runs to city boundaries as well. And then they are having a proposed local street connectivity system, which will allow all of these parcels to have access in the event of any emergency. As you can see, there are at least 2 major arterial access points, and then there's also one on Smithanky as well. So ultimately what we are looking at is the potential for 3 access points on this property. This will ultimately be done in a series of phases, so it's not all developed with the scope of the project as it currently stands. So phase 1A will include the commercial, the high density residential, as well as some of the medium density residential. And then the remaining phases are dedicated to portions of the medium density residential that's proposed in the pad. So the land use plan is set to have 60.9 acres of green space connected to the drainage parcel. And then additionally...
Sorry, you're fading out again.
Okay, sorry. Additionally, we are...
Tell them to mute on their side.
All right. I've been handed a recommendation to mute on the other side. So, right now what we are looking at is a combination of land uses really supporting the city's...
Hey, Dan, can you mute your phone, please?
I was muted.
Miss Rachel, if you can mute.
I'm muted as well.
Okay, go ahead. Thank
All right.
you.
So one of the highlights of this proposal is that it is a mixture. It is a mixture of uses, and so that really goes in line with our city's general plan. And once again, this is an area that includes the inclusion of commercial property as well. So in generating our analysis of approval, the approval of the proposed project will advance the goals and objectives of the general plan. It is consistent with the general plan and other policies of the plan as well. The proposed planned area development will be required to be developed and designed to be in compliance with applicable design standards. The proposal will mitigate all potential vehicular and pedestrian traffic that will impact health, safety, and welfare. There was a traffic impact analysis that was completed as part of the application process. Per agreement, the city will request a 58-foot right-of-way and half-street road improvements along North Green from State Route 238 to the city limits. The development is divided between the AO flood zone on the northwestern portion of the development, and then there is also a large section towards the western edge of North Green and north of West State Route 238 that is in a flood zone as well. The applicant has performed their due diligence as required in the procedures section of the zoning code, posting notification in the Casa Grande Dispatch, posting notification signs on site, and then sending out notification letters to property owners within a 600-foot radius. On September 29th, the applicant held a neighborhood meeting in a centrally convenient location. At this time, staff has not received any formal comments regarding this request. Therefore, staff recommends approval of PAD 21-08, subject to the conditions of approval stated in this staff report, and as amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, I would like to cede the floor if there are any questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner LaPaul.
No questions.
Commissioner Frank?
Yes, could you go back to the drawing that shows the transportation layout along 238?
Sure, yes.
That's the one you're looking for?
My question, yeah, I don't see it up on my screen yet, but I can explain it. The question I have is the distance between the roundabout and the street light seems rather close, and I just question if that's going to really work well from a traffic flow perspective, you know, and then, I don't know, it just seems awkward to me.
The applicant is also present to answer your questions.
Good evening, Chairwoman Huggins and members of the Commission. My name is Alex Stedman. I'm with RVI Landscape and Planning. Our address is 120 South Ash, Tempe, Arizona. Happy to be here tonight to talk about the project. Regarding the question specifically about the access control on Smith Enke Road, Commissioner, you are correct. There is a access control or signal at the Green Road and Smith-Enke intersection, and then approximately 1/4 mile to the west would be a proposed roundabout configuration that would be added to the existing right-of-way there. This would allow full turning movements from the project coming down what's labeled as Collector A, and it also provides access to and from the commercial parcel, which is located there in parcel M at the immediate corner. So we're trying to facilitate as much commercial access as possible, and certainly the roundabout configuration, the spacing should be adequate and will benefit the project.
Okay. That's the only question I have, other than, of course, the obvious floodplain, but I guess you got that handled, it looks like.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Bill.
Couple questions. Traffic impact analysis, I'll assume that included the proposal for a roundabout in the findings, in the total. I find it odd that a roundabout would be put on a state road. Just don't know how it would work. I know the city has envisioned a loop road to come around this part. I'm wondering where that loop road, if it comes to fruition, where does it impact this project?
Yeah, Commissioner Robertson, great question. So along our eastern edge of the project is the Green Road alignment, and that is designated as the future parkway that will extend north into the Indian community and then wrap around to 347, providing a lot of much needed relief in the area. And we have been in discussions with ADOT about our access control here. I do have Jamie Blakeman here. She's with Lokahi Traffic Engineering, and she is the traffic engineer of record on the project, and she can certainly shed a little bit more light on her communications with ADOT.
Okay, while you're coming up, this will be part of the question. Has a commodity flow study been included in that analysis? We have hundreds of semi-trucks that go to the landfill from the valley every day. And part of the road that's going in is to divert some of that traffic, but it takes it back, according to this plan, if it were to come through, it brings that truck traffic down Green Road past your subdivision and then puts it where those trucks have to go through the roundabout. That's why it doesn't make sense to me. If the loop road emptied further west to avoid the roundabout, I think that's a viable plan. So I have real concerns that we're trying to move truck traffic off of Smith Inc. and John Wayne Parkway, loop it around, but we're going to run it right down through your subdivision or just in front of it, and then dump it onto 238 where they still have to go through the roundabout. So that's a major concern. So I think if a commodity flow study hasn't been done to determine how many trucks and what type, that might change the outcome of your plan. I don't know. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Robertson, I'm Jamie Blakeman with Lokahi. I am at 4657 East Cotton Gin Loop. To answer that question, the roundabout was actually at the request of ADOT. They've persisted that their preference is roundabouts. I know that's hard to believe, but that is what we've actually pushed up against. Within our report, we actually analyze the roundabout per ADOT's request, but we also do signals as well. Signals will work here, and in our analysis shows that actually signals are even preferred. And when you talk about the queuing, like between the two intersections, I think someone online asked the question, how does it operate between the two intersections? When you have a signal, you're able to monitor the green lights to allow for progression, whereas a roundabout is more random. So to some extent, signals are more preferred to get progression. We left that there as part of ADOT's comments. but all the analysis we provide for signals as well. To answer your question about truck traffic, so we collected traffic volumes out here, and based on the existing traffic volumes, we also have like truck percentages, and we include the same truck percentages that exist today, and we apply that into our analysis. So it is in there. As for turning, we haven't designed the roundabout yet, so certainly we haven't done movements through it. It would be designed to operate to accommodate large trucks at that point in time.
I like the project. Generally, I like the project. Still concerned about the side. Maybe the truckers will hate it and find another route or not come through Maricopa anymore.
Not going to happen.
Thank you.
I'd like to piggyback on that for a couple questions. If ADOT are they asking or suggesting the roundabout?
They're asking.
They're asking for the roundabout.
More requiring, right?
They're requiring the roundabout. And are they basing that on their analysis of what you provide or their basis of what they want?
So ADOT has been provided this traffic study for review as well. That is something that we are actually working with ADOT and the City of Maricopa to still continue to work through.
Okay, because I have the same concern that Commissioner Bill was asking about how are these, I know roundabouts and I've driven a lot through roundabouts, and if I'm going to be coming, I got a big truck myself, and if I'm going to be coming up next to an 18-wheeler, I'm going to be a little nervous and a little scared, to be honest with you. I might be leaving the area instead of the trucks. So I guess if they're the ones that are requiring it, I don't know if there's anything that the city can actually do in that respect, if that's the requirement. And I see Mr. Engineer from the city standing there. So,
Madam Chair, we are working with Lokaki and the development to give ADOT something that shows that this is not the best option for 238.
Okay, so
it is ADOT's preference to have a roundabout there because they're saying that they want a transition between a rural road and the city. However, we know that a roundabout takes a lot of land. It takes people a lot of time to learn how to use it. And they get confused about it. So it is the city's preference not to use the roundabout, but we have to show ADOT that it doesn't work before we can remove it.
I see massive messes here. I see accidents like there's no tomorrow. And I mean, people are already flying 50, 60, 70 miles an hour down this road. And all of a sudden to come upon this is scary. So in the interest of time, let me ask you this question. And maybe this is best answered by Corn himself. If this gets approved or denied, whichever way we look at, traffic can come back in later on this. Is that correct, or do we need to approve that within this?
I believe that we could include a stipulation regarding traffic. Please note that this is a conceptual design, and
Understood.
it is subject to change, and that the city is also in discussions with ADOT for the possibility of an intersection rather than a roundabout.
Right, but my concern is if we approve and suggest moving forward with this, then our hands are tied with what we can do with this roundabout, because I think that we're all on the same page where we don't want this roundabout. We don't think this roundabout is very good, and then if we're basing it based on a conceptual design of ADOT, then we're kind of gotten our hands tied and we have to live with the roundabout, which is going to be dangerous.
Madam Chair, even if this development doesn't happen, they will also require a roundabout on Green Road.
And I get that, but the difference between a roundabout with this proposal and a roundabout with an industrial would be a lot less people. Because right now it's industrial and doesn't bring a lot of traffic. This is going to have homes and people wanting to go there for commercial, which is going to bring a lot of traffic.
I think we all agree with you preaching.
No, I know. I just want to see where our hands are tied.
Suggest that, I don't know, we want, however we can help you, because again, this is clearly, we have credit struggles within the area.
I agree.
So, I would just say, what's the best way we can support, but I think all of you.
What's the stipulation, in his words, what's the stipulation that we can help you put into this motion that will aid you guys to get this fixed the right way?
The city will find a solution with ADOT that is viable for the traffic and the citizens.
Because at the end of the day, we have to deal with ADOT once because it's their area, not ours.
Yeah, and we have to deal with ADOT with a lot of projects, not just only this one. And I can assure you that the person that is right now working with us is more open than the one that was before.
Okay.
You know, this is Commissioner Frank. There's nothing wrong with roundabouts. That ADOT uses them all over the place. I just want to make sure it's done correctly. You know, and like I said, my concern was just the proximity of the light to the roundabout. I'd rather see two roundabouts, one at Green, one over here. I think that would work fine, but there's nothing inherently wrong with roundabouts if you go up into the valley and take a look at what they're doing up there. Just my 2 cents.
And I 100% agree. It's the fact of teaching the people how to drive them. That's the problem. And trucks don't like to go slow.
People will learn.
Exactly.
People will learn. They're using them in your point for years, centuries.
No, I agree.
A lot has to do with the kind of roundabout you're going to have and how it's designed, engineered, and constructed. Back in New Jersey, we had roundabouts where you had two roads, the equivalent of I-60 that we have here. We had a roundabout that actually very efficiently allowed those two roads to come together at rush hour, and you never had more than about a 5-minute delay. And talking about a 5-minute delay rush hour in New Jersey is saying something. So it all depends on how it's going to be designed and built as to how effective it will be.
Exactly. Thank you. Commissioner Bill, did you have anything else? All right. The only thing that that all answered my question on the ADOT versus the truck study and everything else like that. The only other question that I had, just for clarity's sake, with this being so close to the Act-Gen, to date, we have not heard any comments back from them at all whatsoever, and they were notified of this process?
It was a part of the TAC notification. I do not recall anything. I can look up an email after the meeting, but to my knowledge, we haven't received anything. Please also note that the pad is preliminary. We still have the platting and final platting. So if there is something in regards to the design of the roundabout, that's a later time to also address it.
We just don't like to have to deal with ADOT. They cause too many problems. They do, but not very many. All right, this is for action as well,
Chair,
Commissioners.
before you,
Public
I don't.
comment?
Yeah, you didn't open and close the public hearing.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me know that. I appreciate that. I do have to open up. I'm sorry, Commissioner Efron, did you have another comment?
Yeah, the only comment I'd like to make, Commissioner Frank had mentioned the floodplain and didn't go into any detail, nor will I. I think the two involved areas, the floodplain areas that we have been adequately addressed, but we're going to have to keep a close eye on it.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing me back to reality. This is a public hearing, so we do need to open up the public hearing. We'll do that at 8:20. Like to speak about this, please step forward.
Please.
Seeing no movement, we will close the public hearing. Thank you. All right, Commissioners, this is action as well.
I would like to make a motion that we approve 21-06.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Concerns or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Right, we're getting there, guys. 5.6, CUP 21-01, public hearing, conditional use permit 21-01, AT&T, Pecana Park, Betchel Infrastructure and Power Corporation, on behalf of AT&T, is requesting the review and approval of a co-location to an existing ball field light located in Pecana Park, generally located on the southwest corner of North Porter Road and North Allen Stevens Parkway at property address 19000 North Porter Road. Discussion and action.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, last item on tonight for action. This is actually going to be presented by Alex Bosworth. He's our planning intern. Himself and myself have been working on this diligently, but Alex is going to be presenting this item as he's been doing majority of the review on my behalf. So, Alex, go ahead.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, my name is Alex Bosworth, as previously mentioned, planning intern with the City of Maricopa, and I'm here to present to you CUP 2101, conditional use permit for a wireless communications facility at Pecana Park. The request, again, is for an AT&T communication facility at Pecana Park by Bechtel Infrastructure and Power Corporation. And the applicant is seeking a conditional use permit to co-locate the facility on an existing ball field light. The site is generally located on the southwest corner of North Porter Road and North Allen Stevens Parkway. And presented above is the proposed pole location, which is south of the baseball fields, just west of Porter Road. The site address is 19000 North Porter Road. The existing zoning is CR3, single-family residential, and the site use and general plan future land use is parks and open space. There are 6 proposed antennas to be co-located on an existing ball field light, and the proposed maximum height from the bottom of the pole to the top of the antennas is 75 feet. And here, presented above, is the elevations for the facility, which includes a bar grate enclosure on the bottom of the light pole for security purposes, and an enclosure with CMU blocks for a backup generator and as an equipment cabinet. And this is a photo simulation of what the project will look like upon completion. This is before, and this is after. Again, I will show before and after. And as analysis, the Planning and Zoning Commission will consider the following factors in determining whether to issue the conditional use permit. The height of the proposed antennas, which again, from the bottom of the pole to the top, 75 feet. Proximity in the antennas to any residential structures is 171 feet, which is across the road from Porter Road. Nature of the uses on adjacent or nearby properties. Again, the park is parks and open space, which we believe is a good fit for the facility. Surrounding topography, again, it's a park with fields. And 5, the design of the antenna. We strongly recommend the facility to be painted and textured to fit in with the pole and existing enclosures within the park in order to reduce visual obtrusiveness and or eyesores. And I would also like to mention that there are 2 similar co-located facilities at the park for 2 other cell phone companies. And for the public outreach, the applicant advertised in the newspaper, Maricopa Monitor and Casa Grande Dispatch. Notification sign was posted. Notification letters for all property owners within 600 feet of the property were mailed out. A neighborhood meeting was conducted on the 7th of October, and a public participation report was submitted to planning staff. And at the time of the report, staff has not received any formal comments regarding the request. The staff therefore recommends the approval of conditional use permit, case number CUP 2101, subject to the conditions stated in the report and as amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And we would like to
No, with that, I guess, real quick, we have to open and close
Nice
the public
job.
hearings before we go into actual discussion, so.
Good presentation.
Good job. All right, public hearing, we need to open this up at 8:26. Anybody would like to speak regarding this, please address the podium. Seeing no movement of the few people we have left, we could close the public hearing because we bored them all and they left. All right, so
Bored
closed.
everybody to death.
Bored everybody to death. All right, commissioners, any comments, concerns, or questions? Commissioner LaFalle? No. Frank? Commissioner Yocum?
No question.
Yes, staff report, and I've read this before. The city code strongly encourages co-location facilities of this nature, and it's something that is needed.
All right, Commissioner Bill?
Is the overall height of this antenna relative and relational to the other antennas that are already there?
We have the applicant to answer any questions.
Commissioners, Madam Chairman, my name is Steve Olson. I'm with Bechtel Infrastructure and Power Corporation representing AT&T. Our address is 4030 East Quentin Drive in Mesa. Commissioner Robertson, yes, the overall height of this facility is in line with the T-Mobile and Verizon facilities over on the west side of the park.
Okay. And how about the stadium lighting nearby? Is it taller, shorter, about the same as the stadium lighting?
The stadium lights will be at about the same height as the T-Mobile and Verizon facilities. If you are familiar with the park, we're proposing a similar design with the antennas mounted above the ball field lights. So the lights will be dropped a bit from their current center line. Will involve typically Musco lighting and have them come and do a pre-construction analysis of the light coverage of the field. They'll produce a lighting plan, and then they will come back out and re-aim the lights to ensure that the lighting coverage is not compromised.
Okay. And last and final, maybe this might be a question for Rudy, I don't know. Is there a lease agreement with the city, or is this pro bono, they get to use the land?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, there is a lease agreement pending at this time with this one, so that will go to council, I believe, in the next coming month or so, but separate.
Thank you.
Yep.
No questions.
All right, I don't have any questions or comments. The one person that stated that they approved of this because they get better service is good for me.
AT&T needs it.
Yeah, AT&T definitely needs it. So with that being said, guys, I have nothing else. Nobody else. This is action, please.
Motion to approve.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Good job.
Yeah, you did do it.
He did. Don't let that one go, Rudy. All right, last one, guys. SU 5.7, sub 21-12, 2, subdivision preliminary plat, sub 21-12, Anderson Farm Phase 1B, request by EPS Group on behalf of Lennar, request approval of amendment to the Anderson Farms Phase 1B preliminary plat to modify some of the 50-foot wide lots to 45 feet wide and increase the total count from 115 to 111 lots, generally located on the southeast corner of West Bolin Road and North Hartman Road. Discussion and action.
All right. So this is, my name is Corin Huber. I'm a planner too with the city of Maricopa. So this is a request by EPS Group on behalf of Lennar to modify from 111 lots to 115. This is generally located at the southeast corner of West Bolin Road and North Hartman Road. So in the development process, this is stage 3 of 4. So the subject property consists of approximately 28.6 acres and is a portion of 502-03-015H. And then the motion is to increase the total count from 111 lots to 115 lots, with the density of the project as 4 dwelling units per acre, which is the midpoint of the density for medium density residential. The preliminary plat is a part of the overall phasing plan for Anderson Farms, and then Phase 1B will be developed following the development of Phase 1A. When both parcels are developed, there will be 2 points of access along Hartman Road, with Ibiza Road serving as the connector. So as you can see in this overall connectivity map, there will be a road kind of in between the two, and then from there, this will connect both Anderson Farms Phase 1A as highlighted in yellow, and then Phase 1B as outlined in green as well. So this is the preliminary plat for Anderson Farms Phase 1B. It is well within its intended density, as well as providing a portion of connectivity to the other tract. So as you can see, there is intended for a green space trail with amenities and a central park there in the middle section. And then there is also intended to be connectivity towards that northern edge, ultimately connecting residential to the commercial, which is part of a later phase for the overall Anderson Farms. As you can see, there will be plenty of connectivity with access points on Hartman, as well as connectivity between parts 1A and B along Ibiza. My approval analysis was based on the lot size, dimension, and setbacks, and these meet the requirements as set forth in 18.35 of the residential districts as outlined by the RS5 zoning classification. They are including a wall boundary design, which is upgrading the level of detail and architectural enhancement to the community. With this, they are also putting in a fair amount of pedestrian connectivity. As we can see with the landscape plan here, there are a number of trails towards the north, in the center, and a connected trail throughout the proposed development. And so they are also including conceptual landscaping. The preliminary drainage report was analyzed, and engineering is satisfied with these requirements. The roadway design adheres to or advances the city's roadway standards as specified in the city's subdivision ordinance. And then the traffic analysis that was done when this was initially approved for 111 lots, that had passed and is considered sufficient. So I would like to state that there are 2 stipulations that need to be slightly altered because they mention city council, and a preliminary plat goes to planning and zoning, whereas the final plat goes to city council. So thus far, Staff recommends approval of subdivision 2112 as it is amended, subject to the conditions of approval as stated in the staff report and as amended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, I would like to open it up to questions.
Okay, and there's no public hearing. Not that there's anybody left. All right, Commissioner LaFalle, anything?
No.
Commissioner Frank?
Nope, no questions.
Commissioner Yocum? Commissioner. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Bill? No question. Commissioner Irving?
I'd like to make a 15-minute speech about the 4 lots. I have no question.
I'm just going to say 4 lots is going to make or break this. We're in bigger trouble than we realize.
It was a nice way to end the evening.
Yeah, it was. Thank you.
Madam Chair, since we have no discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we approve SUB 21-12.
Got it. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Irving. Awesome. We have a motion and a second, and I think we're all delirious at this point. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Frank?
Yes, sorry, that's an aye for me.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure because we've been having issues. So moved. Thank you. All right. Last item. No, I shouldn't say last. Reports from commission and or staff. I hope it's
Madam Chair,
brief.
Commissioners, November 8th is our next scheduled meeting. We do have at least a good 4+ items on that one. But I want to make mention that we are going to be setting up a meeting invite, or at least see who could attend a special meeting at 5:30 to, as requested by our Madam Chair, to kind of go over roles of P&Z Commission. We may have just an executive meeting to discuss that, just with legal to kind of understand it. So that meeting will be held at 5:30, and want to just get a pulse of who can attend. November 8th at 5:30, while our regular meeting will be held at 6 o'clock. We'll just be 30 minutes earlier just to have the special meeting at this time.
Good idea.
And
Okay.
just to reiterate, that is an executive session.
Yeah.
But we do have to announce it
Yes.
to stay in compliance with the open
Yeah.
meeting laws.
So at this time, we'll get a head count of who could be at that time. If 5:30 works out, Brittany will email you guys all just to see if that's be available for everyone to attend. And then after November 8th, we're definitely not going to have a meeting the 4th Monday in November, as that's the week of Thanksgiving. But do expect December 13th as our last meeting of the year. Let me just double check that date.
December 13th.
Is it correct? Yeah, December 13th, yes.
No 27.
No.
Good job.
But yeah, no. Thank you all, commissioners, for a productive meeting tonight. Great job. That's
Thanks,
all I have.
Linda, did a good
Thank
job.
you.
Movie adjourned.
I have to ask though, do we need an executive session?
Said I move we adjourn.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those. Aye. Thank you guys for the evening.
Us old people can.
Aye. Bye. My bladder so cold.